What a wonderful afternoon it is. Welcome to all of you. I am delighted today to welcome the Southeast Raleigh Magnet High School and the 18 Carat Vocal Ensemble, which is led by Elsie Schuler, who's the director. We're delighted to have them with us, and we hope you enjoy this selection from them. Thank you.
Hand in hand, side by side, here we stand, filled with pride. 25,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, and laughter and strife. In 525,600 minutes, how do you measure a year in the life? How about
Wow. Thank you so much. Ms. Schuler, what a fabulous job these young people did. It was tough to stand here and keep my composure. You could feel the positive energy, and what a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for all of us. So we're delighted to have had Southeast Raleigh Magnet High School with us this afternoon. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that just by knowing that those young people are involved with the arts in school, we know they've got a much higher probability of a greater success rate, higher performance level, and higher SAT scores. That's the sort of thing that the arts do for our students. And we're working really hard every day to make sure we have that opportunity for children all across North Carolina. I loved hearing those words. I think I'm going to recommend to both governors that they use that first song as their anthem. We are the future, we are the promise, standing tall, standing proud. For two governors who have focused their public service life on public education in North Carolina, it was quite an anthem. It was wonderful. I want to tell you that today is a very special day because today we have the opportunity to unveil the fourth volume of the official papers of Governor James B. Hunt, Jr., who served 16 years, 4 terms as governor of North Carolina. It is a unique opportunity and one that we in my department, and particularly in historical publications, have been looking forward to. We're delighted to have all of you with us today. In particular, I'd like to say welcome to Mrs. Hunt and all of the family. Would you stand for a moment and let us say thank you for being here. We almost filled up the front row. It is a day when we have a wonderful cross-section of North Carolinians. We are honored to have so many of our legislators and our legislative staff who are with us, members of the judiciary, law enforcement, newsmakers, and news reporters. And I'm particularly pleased to note, Governor Hunt, that we have members, or survivors, I might say, of your administrations who are with us today. I'm told that you can recognize them if you call them in the middle of the night. They answer the phone quickly and they say, "Yes, Governor." And I think that is still going on today as we speak. The North Carolina Department of Cultural Resources Historical Publications sections has highlighted our state's rich history for more than 100 years. If you look in your program, you'll see a brief history about this division. I'd like to note that it's the oldest continuously operating state-supported historical publishing program in the nation, dating all the way back to 1903. There are times when we probably think, well, why do we need this division? I would tell you it's because our state has such a rich history. And while we've done much toward telling that history and preserving it, there's still much to be done. Today's volume that we unveil is the 21st volume in the Modern Governor's Paper series, which began in 1923. So it's a rich tradition. I'd like to acknowledge Donna Kelly, who is Administrator of Historical Publications. Donna, I know you're here. She's right down here front. Please stand. And would all of Historical Publications staff please stand and be acknowledged? I'd like to particularly highlight Jan Michael Poff and William Harris Brown, who are the editors of this fourth and final volume. These guys have worked very hard on this very important volume. Historical Publications is headquartered within our Archives and History and Archives Division, and that's headed by my Deputy Secretary, Dr. Jeffrey Crow, who is here, over here, Dr. Crow. Dr. David Brook, who is head of the Historical Resources Division. And I'd like to say thank you to Ken Howard, who's the director of the North Carolina Museum of History, who is serving as our host today. Is Ken? I think Ken's on vacation, actually. He's off doing something great and wonderful, but he extends his welcome to you as well. It is a privilege for me to have the opportunity to introduce my boss, that I say, yes, Governor, to, if she calls in the middle of the night. I and my fellow secretaries who are here today are honored to serve in her cabinet. I am delighted to say that as a cabinet, we are a wonderful group of folks who delight in working together and knowing each other. And the governor told us we better do both of those things. We better have fun and we better collaborate and work together, and trust me when I say that we do. It is particularly meaningful for me as the Secretary of the Department of Cultural Resources to have another governor who understands that North Carolina's rich culture is woven into the fabric of who we are as a people in North Carolina. It inspires me to have the opportunity to work with our governor, who brings such passion and commitment, intellect, energy, and absolute steadfast resolve to work to ensure that North Carolina is growing 21st century jobs, that we are in fact building a world-class public educational system in North Carolina, and that every day she's working to improve the well-being of every single North Carolinian. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Honorable Governor Bev Perdue.
Good afternoon. I'm honored to be here this afternoon to help celebrate the last chapter, Carolyn Hunt. We think it's the last chapter with Jim Hunt. Nobody can ever be sure of a remarkable North Carolina's leader and his legacy for our people. There are many honorables and celebrated people in the audience, and we would be here all day if I called out names. Linda Carlisle, so thank you for doing part of that for us, and thank you for your leadership. She is doing a marvelous job and is just focused like a laser on making sure, as Betty McCain did, that every child in North Carolina has an opportunity to experience the arts. And as someone who has seen the results of that investment, I'm delighted that she's your secretary and that we follow Jim Hunt's model over the celebration and the commitment to the arts. But this day isn't about the arts. This day is about a North Carolina leader who is legendary, legend, I call him. Let me tell you that I'm in his office. I call it the real governor's office, Jim Hunt. You have to remember, way back in the day, I was part of his campaign with many folks in this room, and I feel some ownership and some pride in the fact of his tremendous service to our state. And so I looked at the bookshelf as I left that will stay there long after Jim Hunt and I both have gone on to our great reward. And there are these 3 massive volumes of the works and service of Jim Hunt and many of you. And I looked at the shelf a while ago and said, we're going to have to reinforce it because this is a big book too. Because if you know Jim Hunt, Carolyn, you know he does big things. And so I was asked just to not roast Governor Hunt, that would be inappropriate, but to share just a couple of memories of my work with him and my actual impressions of this man who today is still known around the country and in other countries as the education governor. The education governor. If you flip through the book, you'll see lots of other marvelously important things, marvelously important transformational gifts of leadership that he provided for this state. But I believe that there is no singular person ever to live in this state who has done a more remarkable set of accomplishments around public education than this man. Will you please put your hands together for him? Now, way back in the day when Jim Hunt and I both were very young, this was in the 90s, Carolyn, and he came up with some kind of idea about preschool and having little bitty children come to school ready to learn. And if I heard about little bitty children and how their brains grow one more time, I thought I might cry. And I would get the call in the middle of the night, Senator, this is your governor. We've got to go on the road and sell Smart Start. And we did. And Jim Hunt taught me about the power of the people in North Carolina. He taught me that you could have a recalcitrant, reluctant legislature, who didn't understand the value of investment in our people. And if you simply took it on the road, especially in the time of mixed government when there was a house of each, Jim Hunt proved that by taking it on the road and by working with parents and grandparents and teachers and community leaders, that this state could lead America. And just this morning, a national study was released and said that children who have opportunities for quality preschool education and healthy learning experiences from 0 to age 8 are transformed their entire lifelong. Jim Hunt knew that with Smart Start in the early 90s. And thus, North Carolina is the leader of early investment into children and into their lives. And that's not enough. That was in Hunt 3 and Hunt 4 and Purdue 2 and on and on. And so during Hunt 4, times were tight initially when we started the 4-year cycle. He had won a race, and people in North Carolina expected more great investments into the resources of our state. And for all of you in the room, you understand clearly that Jim Hunt laid down the playbook on teaching us that economic development and academic accomplishments are inextricably woven with education, that you can't have one without having the other, and that the investments we made in our people, in our children, in our community college would transform North Carolina, and that was happening while Jim Hunt was governor in his 4th term. And so one day I get the call. It was daylight, thank goodness, and he says, "Senator, you've got to come over here." And we scurry like little rats in a maze to the Capitol, and there sat Governor Hunt. And Governor Hunt said, "Bev, we're going to do something that nobody in North Carolina thinks we can do." Again, the budget was really tight. And I said, "What are we going to do, Governor Hunt?" And he said, "We are going to raise teachers' salaries to the national average." I said, "Governor Hunt, do you realize where we are and how far a climb that is and how much that's—" "Yes, I do, and yes, we will." And in 3 years, this man moved North Carolina's teachers' salary average pay from 38th in the country to 24th. He did that through sheer power and sheer leadership and the sheer magnitude of the Lord Almighty, who gave us revenue to do what we needed to do for the future. Jim Hunt did that, and North Carolina has been better for that, and I thank you for the behalf of the people. And so today, as we dedicate this 4th volume of the serious works and the hard decisions made by a governor and his leadership team, I hope that someday children and scholars who take the opportunity to read the words and think about the decisions and to try to understand how this man could result in this kind of magnitude of change in a state like North Carolina, I hope that they understand that, for me, the common denominator among every decision that this man made and that his team made was the fact that he believed in every sinew and soul of his body that everybody in this state should have a chance. He believed that, and he gave and is still giving his life to public service to make sure that kids born from very poor or very wealthy families have a shot at playing in this global economy. His leadership, I believe, transformed the state of North Carolina. And this book can't translate that, can't relate that to people who will read the scholarly work. But we are better off, this state is better off, a very different place because of the leadership of this man and the service of his family, because it's a family job. We thank you, James B. Hunt. We thank you, and it's my honor to present you, it's very heavy, I hope you've had your lunch, with Volume 4, 1997 to 2001 of the James B. Hunt Papers.
Great, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Well, Governor, That was wonderful. I am thrilled to be here with all of you today and to receive this Volume 4 from this governor. It was a joy to work with her from the time she started here in politics. And she's getting better and better every single day. And I'm proud of her. And I want to tell you something. I went by the Capitol yesterday to take her temperature. I know how to do that. Just right. What is it? My nurse daughter here, what is it supposed to be? 98.6. That's exactly what it was. I am thrilled to be here today. This is going to be fun. It is fun. What about those young people? Weren't they great? Madam Secretary, you set this deal up just right. For me and Governor Perdue, you couldn't have made us happier. Having these people here, our great friends and colleagues, and to have those young people that it's all about. And they were marvelous. Folks, by the way, is the first gentleman here, if he's not, would you send him my regards? Oh, he's got grandchildren today. I understand about that. I've got slightly less than half of mine on the front row. I want you to know if they were all here, y'all on the second row would have had to move back. When Carol and I take them all to church, at Presbyterian Church, we have to fill up 2 rows. But I am thrilled to have you here, and I want you to know how proud I am of every one of you. Secretary Carlisle, your words were wonderful, and your leadership is wonderful. And you've got a terrific organization here. I came over yesterday, by the way, and signed about 300 books. So if you want to get the short form, it's out there and you don't have to wait. If you want the long form, I'll write something nice about you. But you might have to stand in line. But I wish you would. I'd love to see you and talk with you personally. But they've got a great staff here, and I'm proud of all of them. I want to thank John Poff and Bill Brown for being the editors of Volume 4 of my papers. But I want to thank the whole Cultural Resources staff. This is such an important department. And I'm so proud of all of you who serve in it. Carolyn and I, dear friends with Betty McCain, we sing in the choir with us. Not a day goes by that we don't talk about cultural resources. Y'all supposed to laugh at that. But you know it's true, don't you? But I want everybody on this staff, they've already stood up, but you tell your colleagues how much North Carolina appreciates them. We're one of the few, I don't know, it may have changed, but there was a time when we were one of the few state governments in America that had a Department of Cultural Resources. And even now, we have the best one. So I want to thank all of you for all you do. Now, everybody here today is special to me. I'm having a little trouble seeing all of you because the lights are down, but I'll see you outside in the sunlight. But I want every one of you to know, and I'm speaking now to every heart in this room, how much I appreciate all of you. I've got members of my cabinet here who served in the various 4 administrations. In Hunt 1, Hunt 2, then we talk about the second go-round, Hunt 3 and 4. Thank all of you for all you did. The secretaries, the deputy secretaries, the heads of the various departments, all of you. I love you. I admire you. I thank you. Wish I could see you. I'd call every name out, but I'll see you outside. And I want you to know how much you mean to me and how much you mean to North Carolina. I see my friend Gary Pierce here. It is fun. I've never had this opportunity. He is my biographer. Doesn't it have a nice ring to it? Your biographer? Never had one before. Gary, you did a great job on it. I keep sending you those notes. And he's here with his understanding wife and his beautiful daughter, who's going to be a teacher, Governor. She's going to be a great teacher. She's going to go to Appalachian and be a wonderful teacher. We have members of the General Assembly here, great friends. If the legislature was in town, we'd have a lot more of them. But boy, were we partners. And we continue to work together to build this state and to make it into what it can and ought to be. A lot of young staff here from over the legislature. Their members have gone home, but they've come for them. And I met a lot of them outside, and I'm proud of them. And I want them to aspire to public service. I want to also welcome my friends in the judiciary. I had the opportunity to appoint a lot of judges over my time, and I'm proud of them, many of them on the Supreme Court, in the Superior Court bench. I'm very proud of them and grateful to them. And I'm very excited that we have here today my chancellor at North Carolina State University. I'm very proud of him that we got him here, and I want to thank him for all that he is doing for our state. And I am also proud of the man, my good friend, who I appointed a Superior Court judge at age 33, who is now president of the University of North Carolina, Tom Ross. He's president of the best state university system in all of America. Chancellor Woodson and Tom Ross, would you stand up? I want everybody to see you, wherever you are. You all stand up. Right here they are. And we've got other great chancellors like Holden Thorpe and all the rest of them. And I'm very proud of them. I'm also want to take this opportunity to tell you how proud I am to have members of my family here. Now, Carolyn Hunt, nobody ever worked harder in Raleigh than Carolyn Hunt did. As a mother, 4 children, 10 grandchildren. As a volunteer, 35 years as a volunteer in the public schools of North Carolina. As a person who kept that mansion open almost all the time for the people to come. This big book, we could have written every bit of that about Carolyn. And I want her to stand up. Darling, stand up here again, right by your lonesome self. And I'm also proud to have the other members of my family here. Sometimes I fail to mention my family like I ought to. But my brother Robert is here and his wife Margaret. My oldest daughter Rebecca and her husband Jimmy and their son Joseph, who's going to graduate from NC State in December. Now be sure, Joseph, you stay on those books. I'm proud to have my daughter Elizabeth here and her husband Kevin and their children Jackson and Grace and John Ross, who is 6 today. John Ross, very proud of all of them. John Ross, that means you got to do good in the first grade. I do thank you for coming. I do thank you for your leadership and your friendship and all you've done and all we have done for North Carolina. You are friends and you're partners in leadership. And Congressman Valentine is right here, and I'm just looking at him and Barbara. And I thank them for all that they have done. I'm honored to receive this volume 4 of my papers. A lot of you are in here. I'm sure not everybody's in there, but you all were a part of what we did, and the governor was so kind to mention much of it. She has been such a great part of what was in here. I think it's important that we continue to have the publication of these papers. Frankly, I understand that the money's about given out. And we can't let that happen. We got to keep publishing the people's papers. Let me tell you how they can work. I remember when I was first elected governor, age 39, over there in that mansion, we just moved in. I was getting ready to have my State of the State address. And I was thinking about what I wanted to say. And I knew I wanted to talk about education. I went down there to that library and I pulled out all the speeches of the governors before me. And I read them. And I noted what they said about education. And I can remember to this day reading about my great hero, Terry Sanford, and him saying when he was first elected that only 50% of the high school students in North Carolina were graduating. Under this governor, it's now up to 78%. And we're still moving. But you see, I learned from that. Having those papers was important to me, as it has been to other governors and will continue to be. It's important that we continue to have this information and that we share it. This record of our work, of North Carolina's accomplishments, is about all of us. It's not about me, it's about us. Our team of leaders, that's you here today and many others who could not be here. It's about all the branches of government. We all work together to make it what it is. By the way, Governor Perdue, I shouldn't correct you, and this is not a correction, but in that last go-round, that last 4 years, you mentioned what we did in 3 years about teacher pay. In 4 years, we went from 43rd to 20th, 19th or 20th. We did get to the national average because of your leadership on the Appropriations Committee and many others who are here today. But this tells the story of leadership. This tells the story of building. We in this room are builders. We don't just take something that somebody else has done. We're grateful for what's been done, but we build it into something better. That's what you all have done all of your lives. And the people of North Carolina are so much better for it. In Volume 4, in the last administration, we kept working to build Smart Start and to provide those opportunities, and then More at 4 came along. And I know that this governor was right there, starting it all out, working on it. Governor, I remember going over to Pamlico County with you and going to those child care centers that were becoming much better, and those children were becoming much stronger and better educated because they had that good start. This book records what we've done in economic development, what we've done in all of our major industries, including microelectronics and biotechnology and all the rest. It tells about the record of the environment. We've got several secretaries of Environment and Natural Resources here today, and a lot of things were done. We did get on the way to keeping green 1 million additional acres in North Carolina and cleaning up the air. And I could go on and on. Folks, this state has come from being one of the lowest in all the rankings in America to being right up in the top tier in many of them, especially education. Now, I want to say to you today, we've got to keep building. It's not enough to have done it in the past. We've got to keep going. That's our responsibility. Oh, of course, there are times when you have to tighten your belt. There are times when you have to cut. Over 16 years as governor, we had plenty of ups and downs. I remember them. But we always got back on the right path. The thrust of our days and our history over time, recorded in these and all the books, is one of building North Carolina, of moving our state forward, as the governor said so eloquently, of giving every human being, all of them children of God, all of them with great talent and potential to become all they can be. That's what we did working together. Again, I want to commend this governor for her strong leadership in building North Carolina, and all of you who are working together and everybody who's working on it. I want to encourage all of us to move forward in the future together. I know about this governor's leadership. I was proud of everything she's done in her 2.5 years to move us forward in education. Governor Holshouser called me yesterday, a great governor. And he said to me, Governor, I'm going to be talking to some legislators. What do you think I ought to encourage them to do? And we were of one mind. Keep building education. Specifically, restore the Teaching Fellows program. And fully fund the North Carolina Center for the Advancement of Teaching and the governor's schools. And you know what? I believe we will. I believe the legislature will respond to that as we get some more money in, and we're going to. Today, folks, there are too many pessimists. There are too many people with narrow views and short vision. That's not how we built North Carolina. That's not how we had the best university system in America and the best early childhood program in America and a cultural resources department that few have, and all of these other wonderful things that we have done together. That's not how we became 10th in population, moving on towards 7th in about 15 or 20 years. We have a great future ahead of us if we care, if we help everybody become what they can be, and if we work our heads off and do not take no for an answer. Do not accept that we can't be our best. Do not accept that we can't have the best schools and the best jobs and be the state that we really want to be. I thank you for the honor and the joy of working with you. And I say that now to everybody in this room. I really mean it. I hope to see you outside to say it to you personally. We'll get over this rough patch in North Carolina. Don't you give up. Our best days are ahead. And we are, with vision and determination and hard work, become all that we can be, all that we should be, all that we must be. Thank you for the great joy of working with you.
Wow. Are we inspired? I think you've just seen that this is not only a volume that records history, but it's also a volume that informs the future. And that's what much of what we do in this department, and particularly with historical publications. So we're very grateful for this opportunity to honor you, but we're also particularly pleased to offer this volume to future generations and future governors who will pull this volume out and look at it to be inspired, to see not only where we've been, but also what the potential is for our future. So we thank you for that. I have the pleasure of telling you that there are cookies made by the staff at the Executive Mansion who've made cookies in honor of Governor Hunt today. And so we have cookies and lemonade, and as Governor Hunt told you, he has already pre-signed a number of books, and they are by the front doorway. As you go out or come in, you'll find those pre-signed books there. Governor Hunt's going to spend a little time, as you know what that means for Governor Hunt when I say that, some time having a chance to speak to as many of you as possible, but once we can free him up from that, he's going to be personally signing books for you, and that will be right outside these doors where those books are set up. So you have an option of getting an already signed book or waiting for one of those personally good things to be said about you books. And I understand from the staff they're willing to stay late. So we'll put that on the overtime tab. Thank you all. We will be just taking a few pictures here, and then we'll be joining you in the lobby. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being an important part of this very special day. Thank you.